Maya Cole was invisible. The kind of invisible that comes with cleaning rich people's floors. The kind where you overhear conversations you're not supposed to hear because people forget you're even there. Until the day she overheard a murder plot against a 7-year-old girl. That's when Maya made the choice that would put a target on her back, a child in her arms, and a mafia boss on his knees. When he burst through that door 47 minutes later and saw what she'd done. Saw her bloodied hands and his daughter alive and the woman who'd tried to destroy them both, something inside him shattered. And nothing would ever be the same. Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into this absolutely heart-wrenching story, drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button because you do not want to miss the stories coming your way. Trust me on this one. Now let's get into it. The blood came before the fear. Maya saw it on her knuckles first, thin streaks of red mixing with the pine-scented cleaning solution that still clung to her brown skin. Her hands were shaking. She couldn't make them stop. How did I get here? The answer was simple and terrible. She'd made a choice. The kind of choice that separated people who survived from people who saved. Behind the locked door of the estate's library, 7-year-old Emma Cruz pressed against Maya's side, silent except for the shallow gasps that came between sobs. The little girl's fingers clutched Maya's uniform, the same gray janitor's smock she'd been wearing when she overheard the conversation that changed everything. 37 minutes ago, Maya had been cleaning the back hallway of Thornhill Academy, the kind of elite private school where tuition cost more than most people earned in a year. She'd been invisible, the way janitors always were to people with money. Invisible enough that Sienna Marquez, sleek, beautiful, and vibrating with barely contained rage, hadn't noticed Maya behind the supply closet door when she'd spoken into her phone. "I'm going in tonight. The guards rotate at 6. I'll have 15 minutes before anyone notices. That's all I need." A pause. Then, venomous and cold. "If I can't have Javier, no one can. And that little brat of his? She's the reason he won't take me back. She needs to learn what happens when you stand between me and what's mine." Maya's blood had turned to ice. Emma Cruz. Javier's daughter. The quiet girl with dark curls and sad eyes who ate lunch alone in the library because the other children whispered about her father. The girl Maya had found crying in the bathroom 3 months ago, hyperventilating through a panic attack while her bodyguard searched the wrong floor. Maya had sat with her, breathed with her, held her small hand until the terror passed. Emma had whispered, "You're nice. Everyone else is scared of me." And Javier Cruz, the man whose name made grown men flinch, had looked at Maya with something like wonder when he came to collect his daughter. He'd pressed a card into her hand. Black. Embossed with a single phone number. "If she ever needs help and I'm not there, he'd said, his voice low and dangerous and somehow gentle, you call me. Directly. Maya had never imagined she'd use it. Until today. Until she'd heard Sienna's plan and realized that Emma's bodyguard had called in sick. That the little girl was home with only the housekeeper, an elderly woman who wouldn't stand a chance against Sienna's fury. Maya had run. Not to the police. Not to school security. There was no time for bureaucracy, no time for explanations about how she'd obtained a mafia boss's private number, or why she believed a woman was about to harm his child. She'd called Javier. His voice had been sharp, immediate. Maya. She'd been breathless, running through the parking lot toward her ancient Honda. Come home. Now. She's going to kill her. What? Your ex Sienna. She's going to hurt Emma. I heard her. I'm going there now, but I don't know if I can. Do not engage her. Do not. Asterisk. But Maya had already hung up because she was pulling into traffic and she needed both hands and every shred of focus to get to Emma before Sienna did. She'd beaten Sienna by 4 minutes. 4 minutes to convince the confused housekeeper that Mr. Cruz had sent her, to scoop Emma into her arms, to barricade them in the library when she heard the front door crash open downstairs. 4 minutes that might have saved Emma's life. Now, hiding in the dark with a terrified child pressed against her ribs, Maya heard footsteps in the hallway outside. Slow, deliberate. The click of expensive heels on marble. Emma? Asterisk. Sienna's voice was sing-song, sickeningly sweet. Asterisk. Come out, sweetheart. I just want to talk to you about your daddy. Asterisk. Emma whimpered. Maya pressed her hand gently over the girl's mouth, not silencing her, just muffling the sound, and brought her lips close to Emma's ear. I've got you, she breathed. Asterisk. Your dad is coming. I promise. I've got you. Asterisk. The door handle rattled, then stopped. Sienna's voice changed, sharpened. I know you're in there, you little. A crash. She was throwing herself against the door. The wood shuddered but held. Maya had pushed Javier's massive oak desk against it, wedged at an angle. It wouldn't hold forever, but it would hold long enough. Please let it hold long enough. Asterisk. You think hiding will save you? Asterisk. Another crash against the library door. The wood cracked, splintering along the frame. Asterisk. You think your father loves you? He doesn't love anyone. He only keeps you because you're useful. A pretty little prop for his empire. Asterisk. Emma was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face, her small body trembling against Maya's side. Maya held her tighter, her own heart hammering against her ribs. Don't listen, she whispered fiercely. Asterisk. Don't listen to her. Your dad loves you so much. I've seen it. I've seen how he looks at you. Asterisk. It was true. For all his coldness with others, Javier Cruz softened when he looked at his daughter. Maya had witnessed it herself, the way his hard expression melted, the way his voice gentled, the way he'd crouched down to Emma's level no matter who was watching or how important the meeting he'd just left. 3 months ago, when Maya had found Emma hyperventilating in that bathroom, she hadn't known who the girl was. She'd just seen a child in distress and done what felt right. Sat on the cold tile floor, held her hand, and talked her through the panic attack with the same gentle patience her own mother had once shown her. Breathe with me, baby. In through your nose. That's it. Out through your mouth. You're doing so good. You're safe. I've got you. Asterisk. When Emma's bodyguard had finally found them a hulking man named Dimitri who'd looked ready to shoot first and ask questions later, Emma had refused to let go of Maya's hand. She helped me, asterisk. Emma had whispered. Asterisk. She wasn't scared. Asterisk. 20 minutes later, Javier Cruz himself had arrived. Maya had recognized him immediately. Everyone in the city knew Javier Cruz, even if they pretended not to. The man who owned half the waterfront. The man whose business dealings existed in the gray spaces where legality blurred. The man whose enemies had a habit of disappearing. He'd walked into that bathroom like he owned it, because he probably did own the whole damn school. And Maya had braced herself for anger, for accusations, for whatever came when you touched a mafia boss's daughter without permission. Instead, he'd knelt beside Emma, his expensive suit creasing as he gathered his daughter into his arms. Me Nina, asterisk, he'd murmured, his voice breaking. Asterisk. I'm here. Daddy's here. Asterisk. Then he looked at Maya over Emma's head, and his eyes, dark and dangerous and infinite, had held something Maya couldn't name. You helped her. Asterisk. It wasn't a question. Maya had nodded, suddenly aware of how she must look, her janitor's uniform wrinkled, her hair escaping its bun, her dark skin still glistening with the exertion of trying to calm a panicking child. She needed someone, *, Maya had said simply. *, I was there. *. Javier had studied her for a long moment. Then he'd stood, Emma still in his arms, and reached into his jacket. The card he'd handed her was simple. Matte black. A single phone number embossed in silver. If she ever needs help and I'm not there, *, he'd said, his voice low and absolute, *, you call me. Directly. Not security. Not the school. Me. *. Maya had taken the card, confused. Mr. Cruz, I'm just. You're the woman who helped my daughter when no one else did. *, his gaze had been intense, unsettling. *, that makes you important. *. He'd left then, Dmitri trailing behind them, and Maya had stood in that bathroom holding a Mafia boss's private number and wondering what the hell had just happened. She'd kept the card, tucked it in her wallet behind her driver's license where she wouldn't lose it, wouldn't accidentally throw it away. She'd never thought she'd use it. God, she'd never thought she'd use it, *. But this afternoon, standing frozen behind that supply closet door, listening to Sienna plan violence against a 7-year-old child, Maya had known she had no choice. She'd run to her car, called Javier. Driven like a woman possessed through traffic that seemed designed to stop her, every red light an eternity, every slow driver an obstacle between her and Emma. When she'd pulled up to the Cruz estate, all wrought iron gates and security cameras and the kind of wealth that made Maya's shabby apartment look like a cardboard box, she'd expected guards, questions, delays. Instead, the gates had been open. Wrong. That was wrong. She'd driven through, her ancient Honda sputtering up the curved driveway, and found the front door ajar. The housekeeper, Mrs. Chin, a sweet elderly woman Maya had met once when dropping off forgotten homework, had been in the foyer, confused and frightened. I don't understand, *, Mrs. Chin had said. *, the security system was disabled. I tried to call Mr. Cruz, but *. Where's Emma? *. In her room, but *. Maya had already been running, taking the grand staircase 2 steps at a time, her sensible work shoes slapping against marble. She'd found Emma curled on her bed, reading, blissfully unaware. Miss Maya. *. The little girl had looked up, surprised and pleased. *. What are you doing here? *. We need to go. Now. * Maya had scooped her up, book and all. *. It's a surprise from your dad. A game. We're going to hide. *. She'd made it to the library, chosen because it had a heavy door and a lock and was far from the main entrance, just as she heard the front door crash open downstairs. Sienna's voice, loud and unhinged. *. Where is she? *. Mrs. Chen's frightened response. Please, you can't be here. A thud. A cry of pain. Maya had locked the library door, shoved the massive oak desk against it, and pulled Emma into the corner behind an armchair. Is this really a game? *, Emma had whispered, her eyes too knowing, too scared. Maya had made a choice then. To lie would be to treat Emma like she was stupid, and this child who'd grown up in a world of danger and violence, deserved honesty. No, sweetheart. It's not a game. But your dad is coming, and I'm going to keep you safe until he gets here. I promise. *. Emma had nodded, solemn and trusting in a way that broke Maya's heart. That had been 5 minutes ago. Now, listening to Sienna throw herself against the door, watching the wood splinter and crack, Maya realized 5 minutes might have been all the time she'd bought them. What would you do in Maya's position? Comment below. And if you're loving this story so far, click on the subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. ***. The siren started before the door gave way. Sienna must have heard them too, because the crashing stopped. For 3 heartbeats, there was nothing but Emma's ragged breathing and the distant wail of approaching vehicles. Then Sienna's voice, low and venomous, asterisk, this isn't over. Tell your father that when he cries over your body. Asterisk. Footsteps retreating. Running now. The slam of a door somewhere in the house. Maya didn't move. Didn't let go of Emma. Didn't dare believe it was over because women like Sienna didn't just leave. The sirens grew louder, then stopped abruptly. Car doors. Shouts. The organized chaos of people who knew how to storm a building. Emma. Javier's voice cut through everything else, raw, desperate, inhuman in its panic. Emma. Daddy. Emma tried to scramble away from Maya, but Maya held her back. Wait, Maya breathed. We have to be sure. The library door exploded inward. Not from Sienna's desperate assault, but from something far more controlled and infinitely more dangerous. The desk Maya had wedged against it went sliding across the polished floor like it weighed nothing. Javier Cruz stood in the doorway. Maya had thought she'd seen him before at the school, controlled and contained in his expensive suits, his danger wrapped in civilized packaging. This was different. This was the man behind the empire, stripped of pretense. His black shirt was torn at the collar, his hair disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. Blood spattered his knuckles, fresh, still wet. His eyes were wild, scanning the room with predatory intensity until they landed on Emma. The transformation was instant and devastating. Mimina. His voice broke on the words. He crossed the room in 3 strides, dropping to his knees beside them, his hands reaching for his daughter with a gentleness that seemed impossible from someone who looked like he'd just torn through walls to get here. Emma, baby, look at me. Are you hurt? I'm okay. Emma launched herself into his arms, her small body disappearing against his chest. Daddy, Miss Maya saved me. She came and she hid me, and she wouldn't let the bad lady get me. I know, sweetheart. I know. Javier's arms tightened around Emma, his eyes squeezed shut. Maya watched his throat work, watched him struggle for control. When he opened his eyes again, they found Maya immediately. She was still crouched on the floor where she'd been shielding Emma, her uniform torn at the shoulder where she'd scraped against the wall, her hands still trembling from adrenaline. Their eyes met. Maya had never seen anyone look at her the way Javier Cruz looked at her in that moment. Like she was a miracle. Like she was something precious and terrifying and completely incomprehensible. You came, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. You came. It wasn't a question. It was wonder mixed with something darker, gratitude laced with the kind of debt that couldn't be repaid. I had to, Maya said simply. Her voice was steadier than she felt. She's just a baby. Someone had to. But you, he stopped, seemed to struggle with words. Behind him, men in dark suits were securing the perimeter, speaking in low, urgent tones. Dimitri appeared in the doorway, took one look at Emma in Javier's arms, and visibly relaxed. You're a janitor at her school. You had no obligation. No reason to risk. She's a child. Maya pushed herself to her feet, her legs shaky but functional. That's all the reason I needed. Javier stood too, Emma still clinging to him. He studied Maya with an intensity that should have been uncomfortable but somehow wasn't. Like he was seeing her, really seeing her for the first time. Mrs. Chin, Dimitri said quietly from the doorway. She's conscious. Concussion, but she'll be all right. Paramedics are with her now. And Sienna? The name came out like poison. In custody. She made it to the service entrance before we caught her. Dimitri's expression was grim. She had a knife, boss. A hunting knife. The blood drained from Javier's face. His arms tightened around Emma, and Maya saw his hands begin to shake, the only outward sign of the rage building inside him. Miss Maya, Emma said suddenly, her face still pressed against her father's shoulder, but her eyes finding Maya. "Are you okay? You got hurt." Maya looked down, surprised to find blood seeping through her torn sleeve. She'd scraped her arm on something during the chaos, probably when she'd been shoving furniture. The adrenaline had masked the pain. "I'm fine, honey. Just a scratch." "You're bleeding." Javier's voice had changed again, dropping into something commanding. "Dimitri, get a medic in here." "Mr. Cruz, really, I don't need. You're bleeding because you saved my daughter." Javier's eyes locked with hers, and Maya saw something fierce and possessive flash through them. "You're getting medical attention. That's not negotiable." 20 minutes later, Maya sat in Javier's study while a private physician cleaned and bandaged her arm. Emma refused to leave her side. One small hand clutched around Maya's free one. "You were very brave," the doctor said kindly as she worked. She was an older woman with gentle hands and knowing eyes. Most people would have called the police and hoped for the best. "There wasn't time for hope," Maya said quietly. The doctor glanced up at her, then at Javier, who stood by the window with his phone pressed to his ear, his voice low and deadly as he gave orders Maya didn't want to understand. "No," the doctor agreed. "I suppose there wasn't." When she finished, Javier ended his call and turned back to them. His eyes went immediately to Emma, then to Maya's bandaged arm, then to their joined hands. Something shifted in his expression, something Maya couldn't quite read. "Emma, sweetheart," he said gently, moving toward them. "I need to talk to Miss Maya for a few minutes. Can you go with Dimitri? He'll make you hot chocolate." "But I promise she's not going anywhere. We just need to talk." Emma looked uncertain, her grip tightening on Maya's hand. Maya squeezed back, offering what she hoped was a reassuring smile. "Your dad's right, honey. I'll come say goodbye before I leave, okay? You're leaving." Emma's voice went small, frightened. "I have to go home eventually," Maya said gently. "But not yet. Not until we talk." Reluctantly, Emma let Dimitri lead her from the room. The moment the door closed behind them, the air seemed to thicken. Javier stood there, 5 feet away, looking at Maya like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. "How did you know?" he finally asked. "How did you know Sienna was planning this?" Maya told him. About the supply closet, the overheard phone call, the sick bodyguard. About racing through traffic with her heart in her throat and fear making her hands shake on the wheel. "I tried to call you back," Javier said when she finished. His voice was rough. "After you hung up. But you didn't answer. I was driving. And I was terrified that if I stopped to talk, I'd be too late." Maya met his eyes steadily. "I'm sorry I scared you. But I wasn't going to let that woman hurt your daughter. You could have died." The words came out harsh, almost angry. "Sienna had a knife, Maya. If you'd gotten there first, if she'd found you before I arrived, then Emma would have been alone with her." Maya's voice was calm, matter of fact. "That wasn't an option." Javier stared at her, his jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. "You don't understand what you did. What you risked." "I understand perfectly." Maya stood, facing him directly despite the way her pulse kicked up at his proximity. "I risked my life to save a little girl." "That's not complicated math, Mr. Cruz. That's just being human." "Javier," he said roughly. "My name is Javier. And what you did, Christ, Maya, nobody has ever." He stopped, ran a hand through his already disheveled hair. "People don't do things like this for my family. People are afraid of my family." "I'm not afraid of Emma," Maya said simply. "And I'm not afraid of you." The words hung between them, true and impossible and somehow vital. Javier took a step closer, then another. He was invading her space now, close enough that Maya could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes, could smell his cologne mixed with the copper tang of someone else's blood. "You should be," he said quietly. "I'm not a good man, Maya. I've done things that would make you run screaming. The life I lead, the world I control, it's built on violence and fear and power. People who get close to me get hurt. People I care about become targets. Is that what happened with Sienna? You cared about her and it made her a target. His expression darkened. I never cared about Sienna. Not the way she wanted. She was convenient, useful. When I ended it, she became unstable. And Emma's mother? Something cracked across his face, grief, old and deep. Dead. 3 years ago. Cancer. His voice went soft. She was the only person who ever saw past what I am. The only one who wasn't afraid. Until today, Maya said quietly. Javier's eyes snapped to hers. What? You said people are afraid of your family. But I'm not. Emma's not afraid of me, and I'm not afraid of you or her or this situation. Maya took a breath, studying herself. I'm just a janitor from the south side who happened to be in the right place at the right time. I heard a child was in danger and I helped. That's all this is. No. The word was absolute. That's not all this is. He closed the last bit of distance between them, and Maya's breath caught because she was suddenly very aware that she was alone in a room with one of the most dangerous men in the city, a man who was looking at her like she'd personally hung the stars. You used my number, he said, his voice dropping lower. The one I gave you 3 months ago. You kept it. You remembered. Of course I remembered. You told me to use it if Emma needed help. People don't usually keep my number, Maya. They throw it away the moment I leave. They want distance from men like me. His hand came up slowly, giving her time to move away, and brushed against her uninjured arm. But you kept it. And when my daughter needed help, you didn't hesitate. You ran toward danger instead of away from it. Any decent person would have. No. His fingers curled gently around her wrist, his thumb finding her racing pulse. They wouldn't have. Sienna has a reputation. People know what she's capable of. A smart person would have called the police and stayed far away. Then I guess I'm not very smart, Maya whispered. You're extraordinary. The words were fierce, reverent. And I'm terrified by what that means. Maya should have pulled away. Should have put professional distance between herself and this man whose world she didn't understand. Should have reminded him that she was just the janitor, nothing special, nobody important. Instead, she found herself asking, why terrified? Javier's thumb continued its slow stroke across her pulse point. Because people I care about get hurt. Because my world is dark and violent and you're... He trailed off, his eyes searching her face. You're so damn good. And I don't know how to keep you safe from what I am. I didn't ask you to keep me safe. No. You asked me to come home. You asked me to save my daughter. And you bought her time by putting yourself between her and a woman who wanted her dead. His other hand came up, cupping her face with shocking gentleness. How am I supposed to let you walk away after that? How am I supposed to watch you go back to your life and pretend you didn't change everything? Maya's heart was hammering now, her skin tingling where he touched her. This was dangerous. This was crossing lines she hadn't even known existed. But Emma's face swam in her mind, that small, trusting expression, those tears, that fear. And Javier's face when he'd burst through the door, that raw terror transforming into relief when he'd seen his daughter alive. I don't know what you want from me, Maya admitted. Neither do I. Javier's laugh was rough, almost pained. All I know is that you're the first person in 3 years who's made me feel something other than rage or emptiness. You looked at my daughter and saw a child who needed protection, not a pawn in someone's game. You looked at me and didn't flinch. Should I have flinched? Yes. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. God, yes. But you didn't. And now I can't stop thinking about what that means. About what you mean. Before Maya could respond, before she could process the weight of what Javier had just said, the study door burst open. A man strode in tall, sharp-suited, with silver threading through his dark hair and eyes that missed nothing. He stopped short when he saw Javier's hands on Maya's face, his eyebrows climbing toward his hairline. "Well," he said dryly, "this is unexpected." Javier dropped his hands immediately, stepping back, his expression shuddering into something cold and controlled. The transformation was instant. The vulnerable man disappeared, replaced by the Mafia boss everyone feared. "Roman." His voice was clipped. "I wasn't expecting you until tomorrow." Clearly. Roman's gaze slid to Maya, assessing her in a way that made her feel like he was cataloging every detail: her janitor's uniform, her bandaged arm, the flush in her cheeks. "And you are?" "Maya Cole," she said, lifting her chin. Something about this man's scrutiny made her want to prove she wasn't intimidated. "I work at Emma's school." "She saved Emma's life," Javier added, his voice carrying a warning edge. "Sienna broke into the estate planning to hurt her. Maya got here first." Roman's expression shifted, his casual demeanor evaporating. "Sienna got in? How the hell did she?" He stopped, his jaw tightening. "We'll discuss security failures later. Is Emma all right?" "Shaken but unharmed. Thanks to Maya." Roman looked at her again, but this time there was respect in his gaze. "And something else, calculation. Then we owe you a debt, Miss Cole. The Cruz family doesn't forget that kind of loyalty." "I don't want a debt," Maya said firmly. "I just wanted Emma safe." Nevertheless, Roman moved further into the room, and Maya realized he was positioning himself strategically, close enough to intervene, far enough to observe. This was a man who lived by reading situations and people. "The problem is, Miss Cole, that you're now involved in something that extends beyond a simple rescue. Sienna Marquez has powerful connections. Her family won't take her arrest lightly." Maya's stomach dropped. "Her family?" "The Marquez cartel," Javier said quietly, watching her face. "One of the most violent criminal organizations on the eastern seaboard. Sienna was supposed to be the bridge between our families, an alliance marriage that would have united our territories." His expression was grim. "I ended it when I realized she was unstable. That decision just became a declaration of war." "Wait." Maya's mind was racing. "You're saying that because I stopped her, I'm what? A target?" "You're a witness," Roman corrected, but his tone wasn't reassuring. "You can testify to premeditated attempted murder. That makes you valuable to the prosecution and dangerous to the Marquez family. They'll want you silenced before this goes to trial." The room tilted slightly. Maya reached out, steadying herself against the desk. "No." Javier's voice was sharp, absolute. "That's not happening. Maya gets protection. 24-hour security. Safe house. Whatever she needs. Javier." Roman's voice held a warning. "You know the protocol. She goes into witness protection. Federal custody. That's the only way to. Federal custody puts her in the system. Makes her visible. Makes her vulnerable." Javier was already shaking his head. "The Marquez family has people everywhere. Cops, judges, federal agents. She goes into that system, and she's dead within a week. And if she stays under your protection?" Roman's eyebrows rose. "That sends a message, Javier. That says she matters to you. That makes her an even bigger target. She already matters to me." The words exploded out of Javier, raw and furious. "She saved my daughter. She risked her life when she had no reason to. I'm not handing her over to a broken system and hoping for the best." Maya found her voice, though it came out shakier than she wanted. "I need to understand what's happening. Are you saying I can't go home? Can't go back to my life?" Both men looked at her, and the pity in their expressions told her everything. "Your life changed the moment you walked through that door," Roman said gently. "The moment you put yourself between Emma and Sienna. I'm sorry, but there's no going back to normal after this. I have a job, an apartment, a life that you can't return to, Javier finished. His voice was rough, pained. Not safely. Not until this is resolved. And that could take months. Years, even. Maya felt something crack inside her chest. So I'm just, what? A prisoner? In protective custody for the rest of my life, because I did the right thing. You're protected, Javier corrected, moving toward her. There's a difference. And it doesn't have to be custody. It could be, he stopped, seemed to struggle with something internal. It could be here. At the estate. With Emma. With me. Roman made a sound that might have been a laugh or a cough. Javier. Think about what you're suggesting. I've thought about nothing else since I burst through that door and saw her holding my daughter. Javier's eyes were locked on Maya's face. Emma needs stability right now. She needs someone she trusts. And she trusts Maya. This isn't about Emma, Roman said quietly. Or it's not just about Emma. No, Javier admitted. It's not. Maya's pulse was hammering in her ears. You want me to move into your house? Live here? With you and Emma. I want you safe, Javier said simply. And I want my daughter to have someone who sees her as more than a Mafia princess. Someone who rushed into danger to save her without calculating the cost or the benefit. Someone like you. You don't even know me. I know enough. He was close again, that careful distance shrinking. I know you're brave and selfless and stubborn as hell. I know you kept my number for 3 months just in case Emma needed you. I know you drove through traffic like a woman possessed because you heard a child was in danger. I know you barricaded yourself in a library with a hunting, knife-wielding psychopath outside because you promised to keep Emma safe. His voice dropped. And I know that when I walked through that door and saw you both alive, I felt something I haven't felt since my wife died. Hope. Javier, Roman's tone carried a warning. But Javier wasn't listening. His attention was completely focused on Maya, and the intensity of it was overwhelming. I'm not asking you to be grateful, he said. I'm not asking for anything except the chance to keep you alive. To give you safety in exchange for what you gave my daughter. And if, in the process of that, Emma gets to have someone she trusts nearby, someone who makes her feel secure. He paused. Then that's something I can't turn away from. Maya's mind was spinning. This was insane. Moving in with a Mafia boss? Becoming part of his world? 24 hours ago, she'd been cleaning bathrooms and taking night classes at the community college, dreaming of eventually becoming a teacher. Now she was standing in a mansion, being told her old life was over, being offered, what? Protection? A job? Something more? What would I even do here? She asked, grasping for something concrete in all this chaos. I'm not a bodyguard or a whatever it is people do in your world. I'm a janitor. You'd be Emma's companion, Javier said immediately, like he'd already thought this through. Her caretaker when I can't be there. Someone she trusts to keep her safe. Someone who'll treat her like a child instead of an asset. A nanny, Maya said flatly. A friend, Javier corrected. Someone who already risked everything for her. Someone who makes her smile in a way I haven't seen since her mother died. That hit differently. Maya thought of Emma's small hand in hers, the way the little girl had clung to her even after her father arrived. The trust in those dark eyes. And what about when the threat is over? Maya asked. When Sienna goes to trial and the Marquez family moves on, what happens to me then? Javier's joy tightened. Then you're free to go. If that's what you want. But, because there was clearly a but hanging in the air. But I hope by then you'll want to stay. The honesty in his voice was devastating. For Emma. And maybe for other reasons. Roman cleared his throat. I'm going to check on security. Give you two a moment to discuss this rationally instead of like emotionally compromised idiots. He headed for the door, then paused. Miss Cole? For what it's worth, Javier's right about one thing. You'd be safer here than in federal custody. His security is the best in the city, and he has a vested interest in keeping you alive. The feds would just be doing their job. He left, closing the door quietly behind him. Maya stared at Javier, trying to reconcile the dangerous man everyone warned about with the father who'd broken down at the sight of his daughter's safe, with the man currently looking at her like she held all the answers to questions he was afraid to ask. "I need time," she finally said. "To think. To process. It's too much, too fast." "I know." Javier stepped back, giving her space. "And I'm sorry. I'm sorry your life got turned upside down because you did the right thing. I'm sorry you're in danger because of my past, my mistakes. I'm sorry I can't give you more time to decide. How long do I have?" "Tonight." His expression was grim. "By tomorrow, the Marquez family will know you're the witness who can put Sienna away. They'll have people watching your apartment, your workplace, anywhere you're known to frequent. If you go back there, you're dead within 48 hours. The bluntness of it was like cold water. No sugarcoating. No false reassurance. Just brutal honesty. "So I can stay here as Emma's companion," Maya said slowly, working through it. "With full security. And in exchange, I help take care of her and testify against Sienna when the time comes." "Yes. And the other thing. The thing you're not saying." Javier's eyes darkened. "What thing?" "The thing where you look at me like I'm something you want but know you shouldn't have. The thing where there's clearly chemistry but terrible timing and 100 reasons it's a bad idea." Maya held his gaze steadily. "That thing. What happens with that?" For a long moment, Javier just stared at her. Then, slowly, a smile ghosted across his lips, sad and knowing and achingly attractive. "That thing is entirely up to you," he said quietly. "I won't push. Won't pressure. You're under my protection, which means you're safe from everyone. Including me. Especially me." He moved toward the door, giving her space, then paused with his hand on the handle. "But I won't lie to you either, Maya. I'm drawn to you in a way I haven't been drawn to anyone since Sophia died. And seeing you with Emma, seeing how you protected her, how you looked at me without fear." He shook his head. "That's not something I can ignore. But it's something I can wait for. If there's anything worth waiting for, it's you." He opened the door, and Emma was there immediately, Dimitri hovering protectively behind her. "Miss Maya." Emma rushed in, launching herself at Maya's legs. "Daddy said you might stay here. Are you staying? Please say you're staying." Maya looked down at the little girl's hopeful face, then up at Javier's carefully neutral expression, then at the luxurious study that was so far removed from her tiny apartment it might as well be on another planet. She thought about her quiet life, her simple routines, her dreams of eventually becoming a teacher, of making a difference in kids' lives. Then she thought about Emma's face when Sienna was throwing herself against the door. The trust in the little girl's eyes when Maya had promised to keep her safe. She thought about doing the right thing and how it had landed her here, at this impossible crossroads. And she thought about Javier's words, "Asterisk, you're extraordinary. And I'm terrified by what that means, asterisk." Maya took a breath and made her choice. "I'm staying," she said, and watched Emma's face light up like sunrise. "At least for now. Until we figure this out." Javier's expression transformed relief and gratitude and something deeper, something that made Maya's stomach flip. "Thank you," he said, his voice rough. "You won't regret this." But as Emma hugged her and Javier watched them with those intense dark eyes, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just stepped off a cliff into freefall. And she had no idea if anyone would catch her. Maya's first night at the Cruz estate passed in a surreal blur. Dimitri had driven her back to her apartment, under heavy guard, to pack a bag. 3 men in dark suits had swept her tiny studio before letting her enter, their guns visible and their expressions grim. Maya had thrown clothes into a duffel bag while trying not to think about how thoroughly her life had just imploded. Her neighbor Mrs. Patterson had poked her head out, curious about the commotion. Maya had forced a smile and lied, "Family emergency. I'll be gone for a while." It wasn't entirely a lie. Back at the estate, she'd been given a bedroom that was larger than her entire apartment. Cream-colored walls, a four-poster bed with sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent, an en-suite bathroom with heated floors, and a shower that had more settings than her car. Emma had insisted on showing her everything. Where the towels were kept, which drawer had the fancy soaps, how to adjust the ridiculous electronic blinds. The little girl had been practically vibrating with excitement, chattering away like having Maya there was the best thing that had ever happened. Javier had watched from the doorway, his expression unreadable. When Emma had finally been coaxed to bed in her own room, 2 doors down from Maya's, Javier had lingered in the hallway. "If you need anything," he'd said quietly, "I'm in the master suite at the end of the hall. And security is monitoring everything. You're safe here, Maya." "I know," she'd replied, though she wasn't sure she believed it. Now, lying in a bed that felt like sleeping on a cloud, staring at the ceiling in the darkness, Maya wondered what the hell she'd gotten herself into. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She grabbed it, expecting, what? A text from Javier? Some emergency? Instead, it was her best friend Tara. "Tara, girl, where are you? You missed our Thursday dinner and you're not answering calls. Everything okay? Asterisk, asterisk." Maya stared at the message, her throat tightening. Thursday dinners at the cheap Thai place near campus. Their tradition for 2 years. She'd completely forgotten. She couldn't tell Tara the truth. Couldn't say I'm living with a mafia boss because I saved his daughter from his psychotic ex and now there's a cartel after me. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Finally, she typed. "Maya, family emergency. Had to leave town for a bit. I'm safe, I promise. Will explain when I can. Love you, asterisk, asterisk." It felt like severing a lifeline. She set the phone down and tried to sleep. Morning came too early, announced by a soft knock on her door. Maya jolted awake, disoriented by the unfamiliar room, the expensive sheets, the filtered sunlight streaming through windows that overlooked manicured gardens instead of a cracked parking lot. "Miss Maya," Emma's voice, muffled through the door. "Are you awake?" Maya dragged herself out of bed, pulled on the robe she'd found in the bathroom, and opened the door. Emma stood there in pajamas covered in stars, her dark curls wild from sleep, her eyes bright with excitement. "Daddy's making breakfast. He never makes breakfast. Come on." She grabbed Maya's hand and tugged her down the hallway before Maya could protest that she wasn't dressed, that she needed coffee, that she had no idea what she was doing. The kitchen was enormous, all marble and stainless steel, and probably cost more than Maya would earn in a lifetime. And there, standing at the stove in jeans and a dark t-shirt that showed off muscled arms, was Javier Cruz, making pancakes. It was so domestic, so normal, that Maya actually stopped in her tracks. Javier looked up, his eyes finding hers immediately. Something flickered across his face when he saw her in the robe, hair loose and messy, still half asleep. "Coffee," he offered, his voice rougher than usual. "God, yes," Maya said. Emma giggled. "Daddy's not a good cook, but he tries." "I heard that," Javier said mildly, flipping a pancake with more competence than Emma was giving him credit for. "And for the record, I'm an excellent cook. Your mother taught me." The mention of Emma's mother should have created awkwardness, but instead Emma just smiled, sad but genuine. "Mama said you burned water the first time you tried to cook for her." "I was nervous," Javier defended. "Your mother was beautiful and smart and way out of my league. I was trying to impress her." "Did it work?" Maya asked before she could stop herself. Javier's eyes met hers over Emma's head. "She married me, didn't she?" though I suspect that had more to do with my devastating charm than my cooking skills. Emma laughed, and the sound filled the kitchen with warmth. Maya accepted the coffee Javier poured, black, strong, perfect, and watched this strange domestic scene unfold. The feared Mafia boss making pancakes for his daughter. The little girl who'd been terrified yesterday now giggling and stealing chocolate chips from the bowl. It felt surreal. It felt dangerous. It felt like something Maya could get used to, which was the most dangerous thing of all. Miss Maya. Emma was looking up at her with those big dark eyes. Can you help me with my hair after breakfast? Daddy tries, but he's not good at braids. I'm standing right here, Javier said. It's true, Daddy. Your braids are lumpy. Maya found herself smiling. I can help with your hair. And maybe... Emma hesitated, suddenly shy. Maybe you could read with me? I'm supposed to practice my reading, but it's more fun with someone else. Emma, Javier said gently. Maya just got here. Don't overwhelm her. It's fine, Maya said quickly. I'd love to read with you. Emma beamed, and Javier's expression softened into something that made Maya's chest tight. They ate breakfast together, pancakes that were actually pretty good, Emma chattering about school and her books and how Dimitri had promised to teach her chess. Javier watched them both, sipping his coffee, occasionally interjecting with gentle corrections or additions to Emma's stories. It felt like a family. That thought should have terrified Maya. Instead, it settled somewhere warm in her chest. After breakfast, Maya helped Emma get ready for the day. Braiding her hair, much better than Javier's attempt, according to Emma, helping her pick out clothes, listening as the little girl talked about everything and nothing. I'm not going to school today, Emma said as Maya finished the second braid. Daddy says I need to stay home for a bit. Because of what happened. Maya's hand stilled. Are you okay? About yesterday. Emma was quiet for a moment, her expression far too serious for a 7-year-old. I was really scared. But you came. You promised Daddy was coming, and you kept me safe until he got there. She turned around, looking up at Maya. Nobody's ever done that before. Protected me like that. What about your bodyguards? That's their job. They get paid to protect me. Emma's voice was matter-of-fact, no bitterness, just stating reality. But you weren't getting paid. You just came because you wanted to. Maya's heart cracked a little. Of course I came, sweetheart. You're important. You matter. Not because of your dad or his money or anything else. Just because you're you. Emma's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. That's what Mama used to say. That I mattered because I was me. Your mama was smart. Yeah. Emma wiped her eyes. Daddy says you remind him of her. Not the way you look, but the way you are. Is that okay? Maya thought about Javier's words last night. Asterisk, I haven't felt this since Sophia died. Hope, asterisk. And wondered how she was supposed to navigate this situation without getting her heart demolished. That's okay, she said softly. Your mama sounds like she was an amazing person. She was. Emma smiled. And you're amazing too. The morning passed quietly. Maya read with Emma in the library, the same room where they'd barricaded themselves yesterday, though someone had already repaired the damaged door and removed all evidence of the violence. Emma practiced her reading while curled up next to Maya on the leather sofa, her small body pressed trustingly against Maya's side. Javier appeared in the doorway around 11, his expression complex as he watched them together. Emma, sweetheart, can you go find Dimitri? He wants to show you something. Emma bounded off happily, leaving Maya alone with Javier. He moved into the room, his presence somehow making the spacious library feel smaller. You're good with her. She's easy to be good with, Maya replied. She's a sweet kid. A sweet kid who's been through too much. Javier sat down in the armchair across from the sofa, his posture relaxed, but his eyes intense. Losing her mother. Growing up surrounded by violence and fear. watching people treat her like a pawn instead of a person. He paused. And yesterday, what Sienna tried to do. She seems okay. Resilient. Because of you. Javier leaned forward, elbows on his knees. She slept through the night. No nightmares. Do you know how rare that is? She's been having nightmares for 3 years. But last night, knowing you were down the hall, she slept. Maya didn't know what to say to that. I need to tell you something, Javier continued, his voice dropping lower. About the situation. About what we're facing. Maya's stomach tightened. Okay. Sienna's family is already making moves. They've posted her bail, $500,000 like it was pocket change. She'll be out by tonight. What? Maya's voice went sharp. She tried to murder a child and they're just letting her out? Her lawyers are good. They argued she was having a mental health crisis, that she needs treatment, not incarceration, that she's not a flight risk. Javier's expression was grim. It's bullshit, but it's effective bullshit. So she's free. The woman who tried to hurt Emma is just walking around. With restrictions. Ankle monitor. No contact orders. Supervised visits only. Javier's jaw tightened. But yes, essentially free. Maya felt ice in her veins. And me? What does that mean for me? It means the threat is active. Immediate. The Marquez family knows you're the key witness. They know without your testimony, the case against Sienna falls apart. He stood, moved to the window, his shoulders tense. Roman's people are hearing things. Contract talk. Offers being made to anyone who can get to you. A hit, Maya said flatly. They're putting a hit on me. Not yet, but soon. He turned back to face her. Which is why you can't leave this estate. Not even for an hour. Not even with security. It's too risky. The walls felt like they were closing in. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected, Javier corrected, but his voice was gentle, understanding. I know it feels like the same thing. But the alternative, he stopped, his hands clenching into fists. The alternative is you dead. And that's not acceptable. Not acceptable to who? Maya stood, facing him. To you? To your conscience? Or to Emma, who's getting attached to someone who might not be able to stay? To me, Javier said fiercely. To me, personally. Not as Emma's father. Not as the head of my organization. As a man who's watched you with my daughter and seen someone who cares without agenda. As someone who looked into your eyes yesterday and felt something I thought died with my wife. He crossed the room, stopping just short of touching her. You're not just a witness, Maya. You're not just Emma's protector. He seemed to struggle with the words. You're becoming important. To both of us. And I will burn this entire city down before I let anyone hurt you. The intensity of it was overwhelming. This man, this dangerous, powerful man, looking at her like she was precious. Like she mattered in ways that had nothing to do with testimony or protection or convenience. You barely know me, Maya whispered. I know enough. His hand came up, hovering near her face, but not quite touching. I know you ran toward danger to save a child. I know you kept my number for 3 months just in case. I know you read with Emma and braid her hair and make her laugh. I know you look at me without fear even though you should be terrified. His voice dropped. And I know that when I'm near you, I feel alive in a way I haven't felt in years. Maya's breath caught. Javier. You don't have to say anything, he said quickly. I'm not asking for anything. I just need you to understand that keeping you safe isn't an obligation. It's... He paused, searching for words. It's necessary. Like breathing. And if that's too much, if that scares you, I'll back off. But I won't apologize for it. Before Maya could respond, footsteps thundered in the hallway. Dmitri appeared in the doorway, his expression urgent. Boss, we have a problem. Javier's entire demeanor shifted. The vulnerable man disappeared, replaced by cold command. What kind of problem? Security breach. South perimeter. Two men, armed, trying to get through the fence. Dimitri's eyes flicked to Maya. They were asking about the new resident. Specifically, the room went cold. Javier's expression turned lethal. Where's Emma? Safe room with Roman. Lockdown protocol initiated. Good. Javier was already moving toward the door, then stopped, turning back to Maya. Dimitri will take you to the safe room. Stay there until I come for you personally. Don't open the door for anyone else. Not security. Not staff. Only me. Understand? Maya nodded, her mouth dry. Javier hesitated, then crossed back to her in 3 strides. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. I will keep you safe. Whatever it takes. Then he was gone, and Dimitri was ushering Maya down hallways and through hidden doors and into a room that looked like a bunker. Concrete walls, security monitors, and Emma already there with Roman, looking small and scared. Miss Maya. Emma ran to her, and Maya caught her, holding tight. I've got you, Maya murmured. I've got you. On the security monitors, she watched Javier stride across the grounds, a gun in his hand, his men flanking him. Watched him confront 2 men at the fence. Watched the cold, brutal efficiency with which he handled the threat. This was his world. Violence and danger and constant vigilance. And somehow, impossibly, Maya was now part of it. The men at the fence were neutralized within minutes. Maya watched on the security monitors as Javier's team moved with military precision, disarming, restraining, dragging the would-be intruders away. Javier himself stood at the center of it all, completely in control, issuing orders with sharp gestures. This was the man everyone feared. Cold, ruthless, efficient. But Maya had seen the other side. The father who made pancakes. The man who'd trembled when he thought his daughter was hurt. The person who'd looked at Maya like she was something miraculous and terrifying at once. Miss Maya. Emma's small voice pulled her attention away from the monitors. Is Daddy going to hurt those men? Roman, who'd been watching the monitors with grim satisfaction, cleared his throat. Your father is ensuring they can't threaten this family again. That's all Emma needs to know. But Emma's eyes, too knowing, too old for 7, found Maya's. Is he? Maya made a choice. No lies. No sugarcoating. Just honesty wrapped in gentleness. Your dad is protecting us, she said carefully. Those men came here to hurt people. Your dad is making sure they can't do that. Sometimes protection looks harsh, but it comes from love. Emma nodded slowly, like this made sense in her world in ways it wouldn't in Maya's. Mama used to say Daddy had to do hard things to keep us safe. That being strong meant making choices other people didn't understand. Your mama was right. But you're not scared of him. It wasn't a question. Emma was stating a fact. Everyone else is scared of Daddy. Even the people who work for him. But you're not. Maya thought about that. About Javier's hands cupping her face. His voice saying you're becoming important. The way he looked at Emma with such devastating love. No, Maya said honestly. I'm not scared of your dad. Good. Emma leaned against her. Because I think he likes you. And I like you. And maybe if you stay, things could be good again. Like they were before Mama died. Maya's chest tightened. Sweetheart. I know you're not my mom, Emma interrupted quietly. And I know Daddy still loves Mama. But maybe, she looked up with heartbreaking hope. Maybe we could be happy again? The 3 of us. Roman made a soft sound that might have been sympathy or warning. Maya didn't know how to answer. Didn't know how to tell this little girl that the situation was temporary, that Maya was only here until the threat passed, that getting attached was dangerous for all of them. Because the truth was, Maya was already attached. Had been since the moment Emma had clutched her hand in that library and trusted her completely. Had been since Javier had looked at her with wonder and said you came. Before she could formulate a response, the safe room door opened. Javier stood there, no longer holding a gun, but his knuckles scraped and bloody. His eyes went immediately to Emma, then to Maya, checking that they were unharmed. "It's handled," he said simply. Emma ran to him, and he lifted her easily, holding her close. But his eyes stayed on Maya over his daughter's head. "What did they want?" Maya asked, standing. "Information about you. Who you are. Where you came from. What you mean to this family." His jaw tightened. They were low-level hired muscle, paid to gather intelligence. But the fact that they got this close. He looked at Roman. "We have a leak." Roman nodded grimly. "I'm already running background checks on everyone who has access to the security systems. Anyone hired in the last 6 months. Anyone with financial troubles or family connections to the Marquez organization." "How many people is that?" Maya asked. "Too many." Roman's expression was dark. "This estate employs over 50 people. Guards, housekeeping, groundskeepers, kitchen staff. Any one of them could be the leak. Or it could be someone in your organization," Javier added. "Someone close enough to know our security rotations. Our protocols." He set Emma down gently. "Which means we can't trust anyone outside this room." "What about Dimitri?" Emma asked. "Dimitri's been with me for 15 years. He's family." Javier's voice was absolute. "But everyone else is suspect until proven otherwise." Maya's head was spinning. "So we're trapped in this house with potentially a traitor, while the Marquez family is trying to find ways to get to me, and Sienna is out on bail?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Great. This is just great." "Maya," Javier started. "No." She held up a hand. "I get it. I understand the situation. I made the choice to stay. But let's be clear about what this is. I'm not safe here. Not really. I'm just less unsafe than I would be anywhere else. That's not. It is." Maya's voice was firm. "And that's fine. I knew what I was signing up for. But don't pretend this is some sanctuary when we have assassins trying to breach the perimeter and traitors potentially in your own organization." Javier's expression was pained. "I'm trying to protect you. I know. And I appreciate it. But I'm not a damsel in a tower, Javier. I'm a woman who made a choice to save a child and now has to live with the consequences. So stop treating me like I'm fragile and start treating me like I'm part of this." Something shifted in his eyes. Respect. Maybe even admiration. "You want to be part of this?" he asked quietly. "I'm already part of this, whether I want to be or not." Roman made a soft sound. "She's right, Javier. And honestly, she might be safer if she knows what she's facing. Knowledge is protection." Javier studied Maya for a long moment. Then he nodded. "All right. Then you need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." He moved to one of the monitors, pulling up files. Images appeared, surveillance photos, criminal records, family trees. "The Marquez organization," he began, his voice taking on a lecturing tone, "controls most of the drug trafficking on the eastern seaboard. They're vicious, territorial, and they don't tolerate disrespect. When I ended things with Sienna, I didn't just reject a woman. I rejected an alliance that would have made both our organizations more powerful." "So they took it personally," Maya said. "They took it as an insult. An act of war." Javier pulled up another image, a man in his 60s, distinguished looking, with cold eyes. Rafael Marquez, Sienna's father. He wanted this alliance badly. Saw it as his legacy. When I refused to continue the relationship, he saw it as me choosing my daughter over his. "Choosing Emma over Sienna," Maya corrected. "Yes." Javier's voice softened. "Emma never liked Sienna. Never trusted her. I should have listened sooner. Kids know, Emma piped up from where she'd been playing with toys in the corner. I knew she was bad." "You did," Javier agreed. "And you were right." He pulled up more images. These are Raphael's lieutenants, the people who run his operations. Any one of them could be coordinating the attempts to get to you. And here, he highlighted a particularly nasty-looking man. Victor Marquez. Raphael's nephew. Sienna's cousin. He's known for being particularly brutal. If anyone's going to push for violence, it's him. Maya studied the faces, committing them to memory. And Sienna? What's her role in all this? She's the princess, Roman answered. Spoiled, unstable, but protected. Her father has always indulged her, even when her behavior became erratic. The family sees the attempted attack on Emma as a mental health issue, not a crime. They're circling the wagons. Which means they'll do anything to discredit your testimony, Javier added, his eyes finding Maya's. They'll try to paint you as an unreliable witness. Someone with an agenda. They'll dig into your past, your finances, your relationships. They'll look for anything they can use against you. Maya's stomach dropped. My past? Everyone has secrets, Maya. Things they're not proud of. Mistakes. Regrets. Javier's voice was gentle. If you have anything like that, you need to tell me now. Before they find it and weaponize it. The room went quiet. Maya thought about her past. Her childhood in the foster system after her mother died. The years of instability, moving from home to home. The boyfriend in college who'd gotten violent, who she'd had to get a restraining order against. The semester she dropped out because she couldn't afford tuition and food. Nothing criminal. Nothing shameful. But plenty that could be twisted to make her look unstable or desperate. I grew up in foster care, she said quietly. My mom died when I was 11. Cancer. No other family. I was in the system until I aged out at 18. Javier's expression softened. That's not something to weaponize. That's survival. They'll say I'm desperate for money. That I'm looking for a payout. That I inserted myself into your life for financial gain. Maya's laugh was bitter. And honestly, who's going to believe the black janitor over the wealthy cartel family? I will, Javier said immediately. The courts will. The evidence will. Evidence can be manipulated. Witnesses can be discredited. Maya met his eyes. I know how this works, Javier. I've seen how people like me are treated by the system. We're disposable. Not to me. He crossed to her, his hands gentle on her shoulders. Never to me. You saved my daughter. You're under my protection. That means something in this world. Your world, Maya said. Not mine. Your world now too. His voice was absolute. Whether you wanted it or not, you're part of this now. Part of my family. And I protect family. Emma appeared at Maya's side, slipping her small hand into Maya's larger one. You're part of our family now, she echoed, her voice certain. Daddy said so. Maya looked down at the little girl, then up at Javier. Is that what this is? Family? If you want it to be, Javier said softly. His eyes held hers, and Maya saw the truth there. The hope. The fear. The longing for something neither of them had planned, but both of them needed. Roman cleared his throat. I'm going to step out. Give you 3 a moment. But Javier. He paused at the door. The leak. We need to find it fast. Before someone else gets close. I know. Javier's voice was grim. Start with anyone who had access to today's security protocols. Anyone who knew the rotation schedule. Roman nodded and left. The safe room suddenly felt smaller. More intimate. Emma tugged on Maya's hand. Can we go back upstairs now? I want to show Miss Maya my room. In a minute, me Nina. Javier crouched down to Emma's level. I need to talk to Miss Maya about something. Can you be patient? Emma sighed dramatically but nodded, moving back to her toys. Javier stood, his attention fully on Maya. You need to know something. About Sienna. About what she was to me. Maya's heart kicked up. You don't have to. I do. His voice was firm. Because if we're doing this, if you're staying, if you're part of Emma's life, part of my life, then you deserve the truth. He moved to the wall, leaning against it, his expression distant. I met Sienna 2 years after Sophia died. I was lost, angry, drowning in grief, and trying to run an organization while raising a daughter who was grieving her mother. Sienna was beautiful, sophisticated, and she seemed to understand my world. The violence, the danger. She wasn't scared of what I was. Maya listened, her chest tight. It was never love, Javier continued. Never even close. It was convenient. Practical. She wanted power and protection. I wanted someone who could handle my life without flinching. For a while, it worked. What changed? Emma. Javier's eyes found his daughter, softening. Emma started having panic attacks. Nightmares. She was terrified all the time, and I couldn't figure out why. Then one day, I came home early and found Sienna screaming at her, telling her she was pathetic, that she was weak, that her mother would be ashamed of her. Maya's hands clenched into fists. I ended it that night, told Sienna to leave and never come back. She didn't take it well. His jaw tightened. She became obsessed, calling at all hours, showing up places she shouldn't be, making threats. But I never thought she'd actually try to hurt Emma. I thought he stopped, his voice breaking. I thought she'd move on, find someone else to manipulate. I didn't think she was capable of what she tried to do. That's not your fault, Maya said firmly. Isn't it? Javier looked at her, and the guilt in his eyes was devastating. I brought her into our lives. I let her near my daughter. I didn't see what she was until it was almost too late. But it wasn't too late. Emma's safe. Because of you. Because you got there in time. Because of you, Javier corrected. You bought the time I needed. You put yourself between her and danger without hesitation. He moved closer, his hand coming up to cup her face. Do you understand what that means to me? What you mean to me? Maya's breath caught. Javier, I'm falling for you. The words were rough, honest, terrifying. I know it's too soon. I know the timing is terrible. I know you're here because you have nowhere else safe to go, not because you chose me. But I need you to know, before this goes any further, before you get any more tangled up in my mess. His thumb stroked her cheekbone. I'm falling for you, Maya Cole. And that makes you even more of a target. Because the Marquez family will see it. They'll use it. They'll hurt you to hurt me. Then maybe we should. But I can't stop, he continued, his voice dropping. I can't look at you with my daughter and not feel something I thought died with Sophia. I can't watch you be brave and selfless and kind and not want you in my life permanently. And I can't keep pretending that this is just about protection when every time I'm near you, all I want is. He stopped himself, jaw clenched. What? Maya whispered. What do you want? You. The word was simple. Absolute. I want you. In every way. And that's not fair to you. Not when you're trapped here. Not when leaving would mean death. Not when you don't have a real choice. Maya's heart was hammering. She should pull away. Should establish distance. Should remind them both that this was temporary, that she was here out of necessity, not desire. Instead, she found herself saying, what if I'm falling for you too? Javier went very still. Maya, what if seeing you with Emma makes me want things I never let myself want before? What if watching you be gentle and protective and human makes me forget all the reasons this is a bad idea? Maya's voice shook. What if I'm terrified because this feels real in a way nothing else has and I don't know how to protect myself from it? For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Then Javier's hand slid from her face to the back of her neck, gentle but possessive. Then we're both in trouble, he murmured. Because I'm done pretending I don't want this. Done pretending you're just a witness I'm protecting. What am I then? You're the woman who saved my daughter. The woman who looks at me without fear. The woman who's making me believe in second chances. His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. You're mine, Maya. If you'll have me. Before Maya could respond, Emma's voice cut through the moment. Are you guys going to kiss? Because that would be really nice. They both turned to find Emma watching them with hopeful eyes. Javier laughed a real, genuine laugh that transformed his entire face. Emma, what? Mama used to say you needed to find someone who made you happy again. Miss Maya makes you happy. I can tell. You're 7, Javier protested, but he was smiling. I'm smart. Emma crossed her arms. And I know what happy looks like. Maya felt her eyes sting with unexpected tears. This little girl. This family. This impossible situation that was somehow becoming something she desperately wanted to keep. Come here, Maya said softly, and Emma bounded over. Maya pulled her into a hug, then looked up at Javier over Emma's head. We'll figure this out. All of it. The threats. The trial. This. She gestured between them. Whatever this is. This is a family, Javier said, his hand coming to rest on Emma's head, his eyes never leaving Maya's face. If you want it. If you'll stay. I'll stay, Maya heard herself say. For as long as you need me. I'll always need you, Javier said quietly. That's the problem. And standing there in the safe room with a Mafia boss's hand gentle on her shoulder and his daughter in her arms, Maya realized she was in far deeper than she'd ever intended. The question was whether she'd drown or learn to swim. Okay, but this moment. Comment if you're dying from this slow burn romance. And if you haven't subscribed, do it now because the next parts are going to wreck you. The days that followed settled into a strange rhythm, dangerous normalcy wrapped in silk and surveillance. Maya woke each morning in sheets that cost more than her old monthly rent, helped Emma get ready for homeschooling sessions with tutors who came with security clearances, and tried not to think about how her old life had evaporated like morning mist. Javier was everywhere and nowhere. Present at breakfast, making Emma laugh with terrible jokes. Absent for hours in his office, dealing with what Roman euphemistically called organizational matters. Always watching Maya with those dark eyes that saw too much, promised too much, threatened to unravel her completely. They hadn't kissed, hadn't crossed that final line. But God, the tension was suffocating. A week after the perimeter breach, Maya stood in the estate's library, their library now, the place where everything had changed, staring at her phone. Tara had stopped texting. Her landlord had sent an eviction notice to her old apartment. Her boss at Thornhill Academy had left a voicemail asking if she planned to return or if they should post her position. Her life was disappearing, piece by piece, and she was powerless to stop it. You're thinking too loud. Maya turned to find Javier in the doorway, his shirt sleeves rolled up, a tumbler of whiskey in his hand. It was barely noon. Bad day? She asked. Bad week. He moved into the room, his presence filling it instantly. Roman found the leak. One of the newer security guards. His sister has cancer. The Marquez family offered to pay for her treatment in exchange for information. Maya's stomach dropped. What happened to him? Javier's expression went cold. He's no longer a problem. Javier. Don't. His voice was sharp. Don't ask me questions you don't want the answers to. That man sold you out for money. Sold my daughter's location to people who want to hurt her. Whatever happened to him, he earned it. Maya should have been horrified. Should have felt disgust or fear or moral outrage. Instead, she felt a twisted sense of gratitude. I'm sorry, she said quietly. About his sister. I paid for her treatment anyway. Javier took a long drink. Through an anonymous donor. She's innocent. But her brother made his choice. You're not the monster people think you are. Yes, I am. He looked at her, and the darkness in his eyes was absolute. I just choose who receives my mercy carefully. And you, Maya Cole, have all of it. Every last drop. Before Maya could respond, Emma burst into the library, her face flushed with excitement. Miss Maya, come see. Dimitri is teaching me to throw knives. Javier choked on his whiskey. He's what? Just the technique. Dimitri appeared behind Emma, looking sheepish. Rubber training blades, boss. I swear. She asked about self-defense and I thought. She's 7, Maya said, but she was fighting a smile. She's my daughter, Javier corrected, setting down his glass. Of course, she wants to learn to throw knives. Sophia would have been teaching her already. His voice softened on his late wife's name. Come on. Let's all go watch. Make sure Dimitri isn't creating a tiny assassin. They spent the next hour in the estate's private gym, watching Emma attempt to hit targets with rubber knives while Dimitri patiently corrected her form. Javier stood close to Maya, close enough that she could feel the heat of him, smell his cologne mixed with whiskey. She's good, Maya murmured as Emma landed a blade dead center. She's motivated. Javier's voice was low, for her ears only. She wants to protect people she loves. Wonder where she learned that. Maya's breath caught. Javier. I mean it. He turned slightly, his body angling toward hers. You've changed us. Both of us. Emma smiles now. Really smiles, not the polite mask she wore for 2 years. And I. He stopped, his jaw clenching. I feel things again. Want things. And it's terrifying because wanting things makes you vulnerable. What do you want? Maya whispered, even though she knew. Could feel it in the charged air between them. You know what I want. His hand found hers, their fingers intertwining. The question is what you want. Because I won't push. Won't take advantage of this situation. You're here because you have nowhere else safe. That's not consent. That's not choice. What if I'm choosing anyway? Javier's eyes went molten. Maya. Emma. Slow down. Dimitri's alarmed shout cut through the moment. They turned to find Emma throwing knives faster, harder, her small face scrunched in concentration. But there was something else there too. Anger. Fear. Emma, stop. Javier moved toward his daughter immediately. What's wrong? I need to be better. Emma's voice cracked. I need to be able to protect Miss Maya if someone tries to hurt her. Maya's heart shattered. Javier knelt in front of Emma, his hands gentle on her shoulders. Hey, look at me, menina. That's not your job. Protecting people is my job. Dimitri's job. Not yours. But what if you're not there? Tears streamed down Emma's face. What if something happens like with Sienna and you can't get there fast enough? Then I'll be there, Maya said, kneeling beside Javier. Emma, sweetheart, I can take care of myself. And your dad has more security around me than the president has. I'm safe. You weren't safe before. Those men tried to get in. Emma was sobbing now. And Daddy said there might be more. That the bad people won't stop trying. And I can't lose you. I can't lose someone else I love. The word love hung in the air like a grenade. Javier pulled Emma against his chest, holding her as she cried. Over her head, his eyes met Maya's, and the fear there was raw and real. This wasn't just about protection anymore. It was about a little girl who'd lost her mother and couldn't bear to lose anyone else. A little girl who'd attached herself to Maya with the desperate grip of someone who'd already experienced too much loss. Maya reached out, her hand finding Emma's, squeezing gently. I'm not going anywhere. I promise. You can't promise that, Emma whispered. Mama promised too. And then she died. The truth of it was devastating. Javier's jaw clenched so hard Maya heard the crack. He stood, lifting Emma easily. Come on, baby. Let's go upstairs. You can pick out a movie and Miss Maya and I will watch it with you. Emma nodded against his chest, hiccuping through tears. They spent the rest of the afternoon curled on the massive couch in the media room, Emma between them, watching animated films while the little girl slowly calmed. Maya felt Javier's eyes on her constantly, heavy with things unsaid. When Emma finally fell asleep, exhausted from crying, Javier carefully lifted her. "I'll put her in her room," he said quietly. "Don't move. We need to talk." Maya waited, her heart hammering. Javier returned 15 minutes later, looking older, more tired than she'd ever seen him. "She's asleep," he said, sitting beside Maya but keeping careful distance. "Dimitri's watching her room." "She's scared," Maya said unnecessarily. "She's traumatized." Javier ran a hand through his hair. Sophia's death broke something in her. She stopped trusting that good things could last. And now, just when she's starting to hope again, starting to attach to someone. He looked at Maya, and the pain in his eyes was crushing. "She's terrified you'll be taken from her too." "I won't." "You can't promise that." His voice was sharp. "You can't, Maya. The Marquez family is escalating. Roman's getting reports of multiple attempts being planned. They're obsessed with silencing you before the trial. And every day you're here, every day Emma gets more attached." He stood, pacing. "I'm starting to think I made a mistake. That keeping you here is selfish. That I should have pushed harder for federal protection, even with the risks." Maya felt cold spreading through her chest. "You want me to leave?" "I want you safe." The words exploded out of him. "I want Emma safe from more heartbreak. I want to wake up without wondering if today's the day someone gets through our security and puts a bullet in you. I want—" He stopped, his hands clenching into fists. "I want things I have no right to want." "Like what?" Maya stood, facing him. "Say it, Javier. Stop dancing around it. I want you in my life permanently. I want Emma to have you. I want to fall asleep next to you and wake up to you and not have to wonder if loving you is going to get you killed." His voice broke. "I want everything, Maya. And wanting everything has made you a target. Has made Emma attached to someone who might not survive this." The confession hung between them, raw and honest and terrifying. "And if I want the same things?" Maya asked quietly. Javier's expression cracked. "Then we're both fucked. Because wanting isn't enough. Not in my world. In my world, people I love die. People who get close to me become collateral damage. And I can't." His voice went rough. "I can't watch you die. I can't let Emma watch you die. I'd rather push you away now, hurt her once, than let her love you completely and then lose you." "So that's it?" Maya felt tears burning her eyes. "You're pushing me away? Sending me into federal custody?" "I don't know." Javier's shout was anguished. "I don't know how to keep you safe and keep you close. Every option ends with someone hurt. Then let me choose." Maya crossed to him, grabbed his arms. "Stop making decisions for me. Stop treating me like I'm fragile or naive. I knew the risks when I stayed. I know them now. And I'm choosing this anyway." "Why?" His hands came up, framing her face. "Why would you choose this life? This danger? You could have a normal existence. Safe. Peaceful." "I chose this because of Emma." Maya held his gaze. "Because she needs someone who won't leave. Who'll fight for her. Who'll be the mother figure she's been missing. And me?" His voice dropped. "Did you choose this for me too?" Maya's breath caught. This was it. The moment where she either admitted the truth or protected herself from the inevitable heartbreak. She chose truth. "Yes," she whispered. "I chose this for you too. Because somewhere between saving Emma and watching you be a father and feeling you look at me like I'm precious, I fell. I fell hard and fast and completely. And maybe that makes me stupid or reckless or—" Javier kissed her. Finally. Desperately. Like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. His hands were in her hair on her face, pulling her closer. Maya melted into him, into the heat and need and rightness of it. This was what she'd wanted since that moment in his study when he'd looked at her with wonder. This connection. This certainty. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Javier pressed his forehead to hers. "I'm falling for you too," he breathed. Fell, past tense. "You're in my blood, Maya. In my head. In every thought I have. And it's terrifying because I don't know how to keep you." "Then stop trying to keep me safe from everything," Maya said. "And start trusting that we can face this together." "Together," he repeated, like testing the word. "I haven't had together since Sofia. Neither have I, ever." Maya's laugh was shaky. "But I'm willing to try if you are." Javier pulled back slightly, his eyes searching hers. "The trial is in 3 weeks. Sienna's lawyers are trying to delay, but the judge denied it. That means 3 weeks of elevated threat. 3 weeks where the Marquez family will throw everything at us. Then we have 3 weeks to prepare." "Maya." "No." Her voice was firm. "You said I'm part of this family. That means I fight too. Not with guns or knives or whatever else you people use. But I fight by being visible. By testifying. By making sure that little girl upstairs knows I'm not running." Something shifted in Javier's expression. Pride. Fear. Love. "You're extraordinary," he said again, the words raw. "No. I'm just someone who found something worth fighting for." Maya kissed him again, softer this time. "Two someones, actually. And I don't run from things I love." "Love," Javier repeated, his voice wondering. "Too soon?" Maya asked, suddenly uncertain. "No." His smile was devastating. "Not soon enough. I think I've loved you since you called me in a panic and said, 'Come home.' Since you put yourself between my daughter and danger. Since you looked at me without fear and made me believe I could have this again." They stood there in the dim media room, holding each other, while outside guards patrolled and security systems monitored and danger waited with infinite patience. But in that moment, wrapped in each other's arms, they allowed themselves to hope. That love could be stronger than fear. That family could be built from crisis. That happy endings existed even in dark worlds. The question was whether hope would be enough when the Marquez family made their final move. If this moment just destroyed you emotionally, tell me in the comments. I read all comments, and if you're not subscribed yet, seriously? Subscribe. The final acts are going to be insane. The call came at 3 a.m., 2 days before the trial. Maya woke to chaos, alarm screaming, footsteps thundering, Javier already gone from where he'd fallen asleep beside her on the couch after their late-night conversation. They'd been talking about after the trial, after the threat passed, after they could breathe. Now, stumbling into the hallway in Javier's oversized t-shirt, Maya's heart stopped. Emma's door was open. Empty. Javier. Her scream tore through the mansion. He appeared at the end of the hall, Dimitri and Roman flanking him, all three armed. Javier's face was a mask of barely controlled violence. "Sienna," he bit out. She cut her ankle monitor. Got past the perimeter guards during shift change. She has Emma. Maya's world tilted. "How?" "Inside help. Someone we missed." Roman's voice was grim. "She's demanding Maya in exchange. Says if you don't come to the old waterfront warehouse in 30 minutes, Emma dies." "Then I'm going." Maya was already moving toward her room for clothes. Javier caught her arm, spun her around. "Absolutely not. This is a trap. She wants you both dead." "I don't care." Maya's voice broke. "She has Emma. Your daughter, Javier. I'm not letting her die because I was too afraid. Neither am I." His grip gentled, his thumb stroking her wrist. "Which is why we're doing this smart. You'll wear a wire. Bulletproof vest. I'll have snipers positioned. Roman's team will breach from 3 angles. You just need to keep Sienna talking for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, Maya repeated numbly. 5 minutes and I'll have my daughter back. And Sienna will never threaten anyone I love again." The promise in his voice was absolute and terrifying. 20 minutes later, Maya stood outside the warehouse, the wire cold against her skin beneath the vest. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady as she spoke into the darkness. Sienna, I'm here. Let Emma go. A light flared inside. Through the broken windows, Maya saw her, Sienna Marquez, disheveled and wild-eyed, holding Emma against her chest with one arm. In her other hand, a gun pressed to the little girl's temple. Emma's eyes found Maya's, wide with terror, but trying to be brave. Come inside, Sienna called. Slowly. Hands where I can see them. Maya walked through the warehouse door, her heart hammering against the vest. The building was cavernous, empty except for old shipping containers and shadows perfect for hiding armed men. You ruined everything, Sienna hissed as Maya approached. You're nobody. A fucking janitor. And somehow you took him from me. Took my future. My family's alliance. Everything. I didn't take anything, Maya said carefully, remembering Javier's instructions. Keep her talking. Keep her focused. Javier ended things with you before I ever. Because of this brat. Sienna shook Emma roughly, and Maya saw tears streaming down the little girl's face. He chose her over me. Over power. Over everything smart. And now he's chosen you. Another nobody. Another obstacle. Then let Emma go and take me instead. Maya took another step forward. She's just a child. This is between us. No. Emma's voice was small but fierce. Don't hurt Miss Maya. Please. I'll do anything. Shut up. Sienna's gun hand wavered, pressing harder against Emma's head. That's when Maya saw it, the red dot of a laser sight appearing on Sienna's shoulder. Javier was in position. But so was someone else. Movement in the shadows behind Sienna. Not Javier's team. Sienna, behind you. Maya shouted instinctively. Victor Marquez stepped into the light, his own gun raised. Not pointed at Sienna, pointed at Emma. Cousin, he said coldly, father says the girl is leverage. But the witness. His eyes found Maya. The witness dies tonight. Everything happened at once. Sienna, startled, turned toward Victor. Emma, small and brave and remembering Dimitri's training, dropped her weight suddenly and bit down on Sienna's arm. The gun swung wild as Sienna screamed. Maya lunged forward, tackling Emma away from both adults. Gunfire exploded, Roman's team breaching through windows, Javier appearing from behind a container, his gun trained on Victor. Move and she dies. Victor had his gun on Maya now, backing toward an exit. Tell your men to stand down, cruise, or I paint these walls with her brain. Javier froze, his expression murderous. Victor, think about this. You kill her, you start a war your family can't win. My family is already at war with you. You disrespected us, rejected the alliance. And this bitch, he gestured at Maya with the gun. This nobody will destroy my cousin. I won't allow it. You don't have a choice. Javier's voice was deadly calm. Because if you pull that trigger, I will personally dismantle your organization piece by piece. I will burn your family's empire to ash. And I will make sure you watch every second of it before I kill you slowly. Daddy. Emma's scream cut through the standoff. Behind you. Javier spun, firing at another Marquez soldier emerging from the shadows. The distraction was all Victor needed, his finger tightening on the trigger aimed at Maya. But Emma was faster. The little girl launched herself at Victor's legs, the move so unexpected he stumbled. His shot went wide, the bullet sparking off concrete above Maya's head. Javier's return fire was precise. Lethal. Victor crumpled. And then it was chaos, Roman's team subduing Sienna, more Marquez soldiers retreating under overwhelming firepower, sirens approaching as police swarmed the location. Through it all, Javier reached Maya and Emma, pulling them both into his arms so tightly they could barely breathe. You're safe, he kept repeating. You're both safe. I've got you. Emma was crying, clutching them both. I was so scared. But I remembered, protect the people you love. That's what Miss Maya taught me. Maya kissed the top of Emma's head, her own tears falling freely. You were so brave, baby. So brave. Over Emma's head, Javier's eyes met Maya's. In them, she saw relief and love and the absolute certainty that nothing would ever threaten them again. I love you, he mouthed. Maya smiled through her tears. I love you too. 3 months later, Maya stood in the estate's garden watching Emma chase butterflies, her laughter bright and carefree in ways it hadn't been since her mother died. The trial had been swift. Sienna and her family faced federal charges, attempted murder, kidnapping, conspiracy. The Marquez organization was crumbling, their leadership scattered or imprisoned. Victor's death had sparked internal warfare that finished what Javier had started. Maya's testimony had been damning and unshakable. The jury had deliberated for less than 2 hours. Warm arms wrapped around her waist from behind, and Javier's chin came to rest on her shoulder. What are you thinking about? He murmured. How different everything is, Maya said honestly. 3 months ago, I was cleaning bathrooms and dreaming small dreams. Now you're planning Emma's birthday party and arguing with my accountant about the charity you want to start. She could hear the smile in his voice. And sleeping in my bed every night. And making me happier than I ever thought I'd be again. Maya turned in his arms, her hands coming up to frame his face. No regrets. Only that I didn't meet you sooner. He kissed her softly. Sophia would have loved you. Would have loved seeing Emma smile like this again. I wish I could have known her. You honor her every day. By loving our daughter. By making this house feel like a home again. Javier's voice was thick with emotion. By saving us both. I think we saved each other, Maya corrected. Miss Maya. Daddy. Emma bounded over, her hands cupped carefully. Look, I caught a butterfly. Well, it landed on me, but still. They admired the delicate creature together until it flew away, Emma watching with wonder. Can we have mac and cheese for dinner? Emma asked. The kind Miss Maya makes, not the fancy kind Chef Paulo makes? Absolutely, Maya agreed. And after dinner, we can work on your reading. Or, Javier interrupted, his eyes twinkling, we could tell Emma the news we discussed. Emma's eyes went wide. What news? Maya's heart kicked up. They'd talked about this, planned it, but actually saying it. How would you feel, Javier said carefully, about Miss Maya staying forever? Not as your caretaker or your bodyguard, but as family? Emma's face went through several emotions, confusion, hope, understanding, joy. You mean? Like, you're getting married. Eventually, Maya said, her voice shaking with happiness. If you're okay with it. Your dad asked me last night, and I said yes. But only if you're comfortable with. Emma launched herself at them both, her arms wrapping around their necks. Yes, 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 yes. I want Miss Maya to be my family forever. Javier caught them both, his laugh rumbling through his chest. Then it settled. We're a family. Officially. They stood there in the garden, 3 people who'd found each other through crisis and chose each other through love, holding tight to the happiness they'd fought so hard to build. Maya thought about the scared janitor who'd overheard a threat and made a choice. About the little girl who'd needed protecting. About the Mafia boss who'd needed someone unafraid to love him. And she thought about how the best things in life were often found in the most unexpected places. I love you both, she whispered. We love you too, Javier said, kissing her temple while Emma giggled between them. Above them, the sun broke through clouds, bathing the garden in golden light. A new beginning. A second chance. A family built not from blood, but from choice, courage, and a love that had survived everything the darkness could throw at it. And in that moment, everything was exactly as it should be. If this ending just gave you all the feels, tell me in the comments and tell us your favorite part of Maya, Javier, and Emma's journey. And if you love this story, you need to subscribe because we have so many more emotional, romantic, thrilling stories coming your way. Hit that subscribe button and join our family. Thank you for being here, beautiful souls. Until next time.